Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nate. It has been a while since I posted a video. I think it's been about 3 months. I basically decided after I put up my last video that I really just needed to take time. I had 2 months left at the end of my degree and I just had so much work to do, so I just kind of put aside everything other than work and just did my uni stuff. And I am very happy to say that as of I'm filming this now on the 2nd of July, I passed. I've got all my results back. I've passed everything. So although I don't think I'm quite technically graduated yet, I am going to be graduating. And yeah, I will have my BA honours in animation, which I've worked for the last 4 years for. So I'm just really happy about it, to be honest. I did have the intention of kind of coming back at the beginning of June. I handed in my last assessments at about a third of the way through June. But June ended up being a really busy month. I went to a couple of concerts. I had a wedding. I've upped my work schedule. I now work like 30 hours where I used to work 15, and I do night shifts. This is only my second week on doing night shifts. So like that transition is still kind of kicking in. So there's just been a lot. June ended up having a lot of stuff in. So I ended up deciding to just make my July TBR my first kind of video coming back to YouTube. And I've missed it. I have missed making videos. I've missed posting. And so yeah, I'm really hoping now to kind of just throw myself back into YouTube. For my TBR, I will of course be playing my TBR game. For anyone that doesn't know, I have this board game that it's a Monopoly game that I just painted over. And it is how I will be picking books that I read for the month. I'm basically just rolling. I've decided on an 8-sided die because I have a bit more time now that I don't have uni, and also because I work night shifts, I work in a supermarket, I can listen to audiobooks on my shifts. So like in theory, I could potentially get through like 3 audiobooks a week. I don't know if I 100% will, because sometimes I just want to listen to music, but like in theory I could. So I thought an 8-sided die would be quite nice. So yeah, I spin the die and get around the board one whole time and pick books based on prompts. So I do have some in-person book clubs that I'm doing, as well as I am participating in one readathon this month, but I will talk about all of that at the end of the game. So let's go on with our first roll for the month of July, and I'm very excited to just be back in business and playing my TBR again for YouTube. So yeah, let's start.
Okay, so here is my game board all laid out. I am playing with a little Cubone Funko Pop for this game, and yeah, let's go on with my first roll of the game, which got me a 1 and a blue. And the blue prompt is to have a book that less than 250 pages.
So for less than 250 pages, I am going to be picking The Buddha in the Attic. This is by Julie Otsuka, and this is a book I believe I picked up when I was in Thailand. I found this like secondhand bookshop where all the books were in English basically, and this one sounded quite interesting. It basically tells the story of a group of young women brought from Japan to San Francisco as picture brides nearly a century ago. And it says like in 8 sections, so I'm guessing this is split up into different stories, but it is a very, very small book. It is 129 pages. So yeah, this is something very random that I literally have heard no one talk about. I just thought it sounded interesting. I've recently made myself a spreadsheet on Google Sheets with all of my TBR in it. So I kind of just sorted that and looked through those books. And yeah, this is one I thought, well, it's quite short. It'll be a really easy read, I think. I'll be able to read it in like a couple of hours. And I'm potentially going to be doing a little challenge in July of trying to read 7 books in 7 days. So this would work perfectly for that. On to roll number 2.
So for roll 2, I rolled a 2 and I landed on a purple square.
So roll number 2 landed me on a purple. A purple gives me my little spinner wheel, which I will play up here. And for my spinner wheel, I've decided that I'm going to be doing it slightly different. I'm going to basically do it 1 time per game. And then if I land on it, the purple again, I'm just going to work myself around clockwise. That way I don't have to spin the wheel continuous amounts of time, and it's like gives all of the little slices a bit more of a fair chance. So yeah, for this round, I landed on series jar, which is this one. So this has all of the series I'm in the middle of. I'm not actually sure if I've updated it. I have read some bits over the last 3 months. Basically nothing from my spring TBR, but I have read some bits. So I think this might need an update, but we'll go with whatever it is for now. So let's pick the series continuation. We'll go with this one, and it is Percy Jackson, if you can see. So I have read the initial 5 books in the Percy Jackson series, and I did buy Chalice of the Gods, but someone did mention that I should read at least the Heroes of Olympus series first. I do have a book haul video that I need to do for like the last 3 months, and this series is in there, but I have the Heroes of Olympus series. This I picked up secondhand. It is The Lost Hero. I do need to actually find, I guess, a comprehensive reading list, I think now, because I think these 5 come first, but I'm not sure about the rest of it. So, and I do want to read, I think, in chronological order of when they were released. But yeah, this is the next book in the Percy Jackson world that I need to read. I don't actually know what it's about. It's about 3 new heroes, 1 missing demigod, a curse that threatens them all. And I literally just see Jason. I'm not gonna read anything else because I'm pretty happy to go in this completely blind. So yeah, this will be one. It's chunky though. These books are big. This is 554 pages. That is a chunky book, but I'm looking forward to reading it. I think I can probably get the audiobooks for these from my library, but if not, I mean, these are really easy reads. These are middle grades series, so yeah, I'm looking forward to carrying on with that. On to the next roll.
So, roll 3 gave us a 5, which landed us on another purple.
As you saw, I landed on purple again, so going by this new rule, I will just be going clockwise round my little spinner wheel, which lands me on the manga jar. So this has all of the titles of all the manga that I currently own. Let's have a look. We'll just go with this series here, which... Oh, okay, this says Wandering. Let me go and grab this. This is Wandering Suns. So, Wandering Sun. This is by Shimura Takako, and this is I'm not sure where it would fall, like, age range. It is basically a series about these two young 5th graders who are friends and are kind of just coming to discover that they are transgender, or, I mean, they don't really use those words, I don't think, but it's kind of about them exploring their gender identity and realizing that they don't feel right in the bodies that they are, as they are kind of coming up to puberty. I have about 6 volumes of this, and I have read the first few years ago, and so I do want to restart, so I'm going to start again with volume 1. I do remember enjoying it, and it's quite sweet. It's not very dark. It doesn't, like, go in, well, as far as I've read, so what I remember having read, it wasn't, like, touching on the really kind of dark side of this that could happen with this kind of gender exploration, but it was kind of them really befriending each other and kind of exploring their identities with each other. And then I think I remember them meeting like some older queer people who were kind of like taking them under their wing and kind of like introducing them to this kind of world. The art style as well is quite like innocent and cute, so I remembered I did enjoy this, so I'm looking forward to reading this volume again and carrying on with the series. I believe it's a completed series with I think about 12 or 13 volumes. I do only in the first 6, but I would like to carry on and buy them if I do enjoy it. On to the next roll.
So for this roll I got a 1, which landed me on green, which gave me the nice simple prompt of romance.
Okay, so for romance, I'm going to go and put on Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I did recently read Love on the Brain. I had issues with it, but like I liked enough of it, but I do hear that I think out of the original kind of STEM trilogy that she released, Love on the Brain is the one people tend to like the least. And I've heard really good things about this one in particular, and I love Love Hypothesis. So yeah, this is another STEMinist, I believe. I'm guessing theoretically it's about theoretical physicists. Yeah. And I think this one has fake dating where she kind of makes up her non-existent paycheck by offering her services as a fake girlfriend. Which, is that something that actually exists as a job that people need? Maybe. But yeah, and I believe the guy is the brother of one of her clients or something. I'm not sure. I like going into these. I mean, I like going to most books, I think, pretty blind. So I'm not going to read much more into this. So I will just read this. And yeah, this was also a book that was on my self-destruct list for the year. I've only read 2. Well, I've DNF'd 1 and read 1. So I actually need to jump on that because there's 12 books on my list that I will need to unhaul if I don't read them before December. So yeah, this is one of those.
On to the next roll, we got a 8, which was a nice big number. And I very slowly moved forward to the blue, which gave me the prompt of 5+ words in the title.
So for 5+ words in the title, I'm putting on a book that I technically started last month, but I'm literally like 13 pages in, and that is Around the World in 80 Days. This is by Jules Verne. It is a classic, I think originally published in French, translated to English, and I have never read anything or watched anything, any kind of adaptation of this, but when I read the synopsis, it actually sounds quite funny. It's about a British guy that he rashly bets that he can travel around the whole world in 80 days, and he has this kind of French manservant that goes with him, but then a cop from Scotland Yard is on his tail because he thinks he's robbed a bank or something. It sounds quite funny. I do think I will probably listen to some of this as well, but I have tried to find some audiobooks, but they don't match up with this translation, so I'll either like read a chapter or listen to a chapter, but not do both at the same time because the translations don't quite match up. But yeah, this sounded quite interesting, and it works as well for like some of these books I've picked specifically as well because they work for prompts for the readathon that I'm doing. So this isn't one of them. I also did have the goal for 2024, yeah, that is the year, to read 6 classics, and I've read 0. So this would be the first one to knock off on that little goal.
Not sure what roll this is because I've lost count, but it gave us an 8, which is nice, and that took me to my ID or indie spot.
So for the indie book, I'm putting on the same book that I put on, I think, for this prompt in my spring TBR, and that is Praise by Sarah Kay. I got given these from my mum because she had accidentally bought 2 copies of them, and I don't think I'm going to like them, but I want to at least try reading one to see what I think of it. It is about a girl who ends up, I think, working at a BDSM club and getting with her ex-boyfriend's dad. I think is the kind of crust of what I know about it. Like I said, I like going into things pretty blind. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know what it's going to be like, but yeah, I own the 3 volumes in this series, so I might as well at least give the first one a try. So this will be going on for my independent.
So for this roll I got a 6, which took me forward to a mixed space. So I got a green and blue prompt. The green was to have a book that was an author's debut, and the blue was to have a book that was released pre-2020.
Okay, we ended on a double whammy. So we have released pre-2020, that is an author's debut, and this is where my spreadsheet came in lovely because I was able to like list all of the dates, basically take off the dates 2020, 21, 22, because I have all of the dates in there. So this is what my new spreadsheet that I spent hours doing has come into handy. And I picked up One of Us is Lying. This is by Carrie M. McManus, and I have very recently read Two Can Keep a Secret, which is a standalone book, but like one she wrote, I believe, after this. And I liked it enough. These are YA murder mystery kind of thriller vibes, and I liked it enough. I did have some issues with the writing in that I think it was so telly and not very showy, and like chapters would end on a cliffhanger and then the next chapter would start the next day and would just kind of tell us what happened instead of actually playing those scenes out. So that did piss me off in that book, specifically with the main 2 POV characters meeting. We didn't even get to read. It just got told to us about afterwards. And I think that was just bad. That was just bad writing. So yeah, this is about, I think it's kind of a Breakfast Club vibes, which I'm saying having never watched Breakfast Club, but it's 5 students who walk into detention and only 4 of them leave alive. So one of them dies in detention, which that sounds like a health and safety rule issue to me. But yeah, there's also actually a character called Nate. I think is this my first time reading a book with a character called Nate? Maybe. Everyone has secrets. What really matters is how far you'll go to protect them. It's a short book. I think it'll be a really easy read. And yeah, so I thought that'd be a fun book to put on. It's a bit different as well. A nice thriller to kind of mix up the other kind of genres that I've got going on for the month.
On the home stretch now with a 1, which got me a green, which was a prompt that is a middle grade.
Now, I did not read this. This came out in April and I did not read it in spring, and that is Skanda and the Chaos Trials, and I am so excited to read this book. I think I ended up deciding to not read it while I was still doing uni stuff because I didn't want to rush it. I really want to take my time with it. I'm so excited to read this. This is the 3rd book in the Skanda series. We also have news now that the 4th book in this series is coming out this year. It's getting like bumped 6 months earlier because it was finished, and so that makes me so excited. So I definitely want to get this finished before October, so this month would be perfect to read it in, because it also then still keeps the story fresh in my mind for when the 4th book comes out, which is going to be green. Each of these books have like different color palettes based on the different elements that are in this story. This one is yellow, and so the next one is green, which is my favorite color. So I'm excited about the green one. So yeah, this carries on following our main character Skanda at his unicorn trading riding academy that he goes to. I obviously can't tell you too much because it's the 3rd in the series, but I really enjoy it and I'm very excited to carry on with this series.
So what I was hoping would be our last roll was not. It gave us a 6, which of course landed on a red. I can barely go a game without getting a red. But this red wasn't too bad. A book over 600 pages. So
I was a bit worried that this red would trip us up, but it didn't. It got us a 600-page book, which is obviously quite a lot, but it's not like the worst the board could do. It could have made us go around the whole board again. There's lots of evil things the reds could do. But I asked my sister for a recommendation book because of a prompt that I need for one of my monthly goals, and she gave me this book as like a friend's favourite, and that is Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. It is, what is it? It's like 740 something pages. Yeah, she really likes the Twilight series. I originally read the first 3 books like a decade and a half ago, ages and ages ago. I never read the last one. I don't even think I've seen the last 3 movies. I might have seen a Eclipse movie, I don't remember. But yeah, and I know this is obviously the first book, but retold from Edward's POV. And so I put it in here for my friends, for my 600-page book, because I had to read it this month anyway for I wanted to read it this month anyway for some goals that I'm reading. This is her book, so it's not actually on my physical TBR. So it doesn't knock one of my physical TBR books off, which is the only kind of minor thing. But yeah, I imagine this is going to be a really easy read. I think also easy slightly in that I do obviously remember roughly the story. It was one of those books that obviously I think even if you had only watched it once, you just know about. And I've seen so much content about Twilight throughout the years that I just know, especially the first book, quite well. I don't particularly care about reading it from Edward's POV. I was always a Jacob guy, I'll be honest. I don't know if I still would be now as an adult. I don't think I care. But like, yeah, I always prefer Jacob. So I'll be interested to see this. But yeah, I don't think it's going to take me too long to read, even though it is 600 pages, because I think it will be quite easy to read.
And finally, our actual last goal gave us a big 7, which took us straight to the end, where we picked up our green, which was a LGBTQIA+ book, a blue, which was with a book with my name in the title, and then a black, which was a prompt to read 50 pages outside for £5.
And then what is our last roll? Our only black, which is to read 50 pages outside for £5. The points now basically can turn into pounds for what I can spend on books. I'm kind of resetting that whole thing for the month of July because I kind of forgot to do some books. So yeah, for the month of July, I'm starting afresh. And actually just now remember I bought 2 books yesterday on the 1st of July. So I need to earn some points so that by the end of July, I'm not in a minus. But yeah, if I want to get those points, I can read 50 pages outside. But it is a book that is an LGBTQIA+ book and a book that has my name in the title. For this, I literally just mean the letters in my name, and they don't have to be in the correct order. So I could either do Nate for Nate, but my full name is Nathan, so Nath would also work. And for that book, I have picked up a book that also works for kind of one of my monthly challenges, and it is Trans Love, and this is an anthology of transgender and non-binary voices. It is a short story collection. I think of fictional stories. I will be honest, I'm not quite sure. My older sister gave this to me for my Christmas. Yeah, and it is a groundbreaking anthology of writings on the topic of love, written by trans and non-binary voices who share their thoughts, feelings, and experiences of love in all its guises. So non-fiction, I think. I think this will be quite interesting to read because I have just recently read a book with a transgender character as a main character, but it was kind of just like from one perspective, whereas this is obviously going to give you multiple people's perspectives, which I really like the idea of because there isn't really just like one trans perspective. And so I'm going to find this interesting, I think, in how different trans people navigate love and such like that. I think that's been quite good. So this is the last book that I'll be putting on, and because it's a kind of anthology, it's just short story kind of thing, I will be reading it probably in chunks. Okay, so now I just wanted to kind of go over the little things, the book clubs, my reading challenges, and also the readathon I'll participate again. So for book clubs, I am actually going to be adding on 2 new books. One, I actually don't know what it is yet. Me and my friends are meeting tomorrow night, so I will probably not have edited this by then. So it's this book, hopefully. But the book that is for my sibling book club, we actually have until the end of August, so I have a while to read this, and that is The Constant Princess by Philippa Gregory. This is about Catherine of Aragon, who Henry VIII's first wife, I believe. Yeah, I think she was. I know Philippa Gregory writes a lot of historical fiction, specifically about the kings and queens of the United Kingdom, the British line. Yeah, not really my sort of thing, or at least maybe not. I've never read anything like it, so it might be my thing. But I do have the audiobook coming out for this mid-July, so I'm probably going to listen to the audiobook. I'm probably not going to read it. But yeah, this was my twin sister's pick, so which will be quite different. So I'm open to seeing what it's like and if I do like it. So that is a added in book as a book club pick. Now, I participate in 3 monthly challenges. The first one being the buzzword, and the word this month was measurement words, something to do with that. I'm using around the world in 80 days as I consider days a measurement word. It's how you would measure time. How long does something take? How long is a journey? You would say days or something like that. So I'm going to use days for my buzzword. For my Read Your Bookshelf challenge, I have to read a short story collection. Maybe slightly bending the rules, but I am going to use Trans Love. Although this is like an anthology, that it is broken up into short little tales. So, and even that, it's broken into sections of there's different parts. So there is, part 1 is about sex and relationships, part 2 is about non-binary love, part 3 is faith and belief, part 4 is family and friendship. So it's kind of broken into subsections. So I'm going to use this as my short story collection because I just didn't really have anything else that was on my radar. If I end up reading something else for this prompt that is a short story collection, maybe I'll include it. Since I managed to get this on my July TBR, I thought I would also use it for this prompt. And then for where I'm at in Aurelium, I need to read a friend's favorite, which is where Midnight Sun comes in. This is why I specifically got this picked first and then was able to just kind of fit it into my monthly TBR. So yeah, this I'll be reading for my friend's favorite, my friend being my sister. In addition to that, I'm going to be participating in the Six Readathon. This is hosted by Rebecca Farrow, her name is Farrowell. I will leave a link to the announcement video in the description. And this is a readathon that is based on / inspired by the musical Six, which I've never watched, but I have listened to the soundtrack for multiple times and do really want to watch. And there are 7 different book prompts, and you can double up in them. You could read single books for them. They are basically 1 for each of the queens and then 1 for the ladies in waiting who make up the band in the musical. So I can't remember off the top of my head which queens goes with which prompt. It goes in order, but I don't always remember the order of the queens, which is probably quite bad. But yeah, so the 7 prompts are, the first one is to read a first book in a series. I will be reading One of Us is Lying for that. The second one is to read a book that everyone is talking about. I'll be reading Love Theoretically for that. Alice Hazelwood's books tends to be ones that people talk about quite frequently, so I think this would work fine for that. Read a friend's favourite, thankfully just happened to be in both of like this for this month, and that is of course Midnight Sun. I need to make a start on this now that I'm holding it. It's so big, but I do think it will go quick. But yeah, this will be my friend's favourite. Read a book that has had a cover change. Around the World in 80 Days has had a bunch of cover changes. Like on Goodreads, you can kind of switch editions, and there are so many different editions. So yeah, this will be that book. Read an underrated book. I'll be reading Scandal for this. I think this series is very, very underrated. There's not a lot of reviews on Goodreads. Well, I think as far as like maybe my corner of the internet that I'm on for Booktube and stuff goes, because I know that it's quite popular especially with kids. And obviously kids aren't really using Goodreads, so maybe that's why it's not necessarily underrated, but like, yeah, I think it's underrated. I don't see people on Booktube really talk about it, but then I'm also like, do I follow people that talk a lot about middle grade stuff? I don't think I do. Maybe I need to start. Maybe I'll find some people. But yeah, I think it's underrated in general. I think it's really good. So yeah. Then to read a last book in a series, and for this, I'm actually just have gotten the audiobook out for the last book in the How to Train Your Dragon series. I've been meaning to read this and having kind of putting it off for ages. Now that I can listen to audiobooks at night at work, I'll be able to get through this easy. Like I work 10-hour shifts. I listen to most things on 1.5 speed, so I can get through say roughly an 8-hour book a night or something, probably more than that, but I probably wouldn't listen to two books in one night. I probably just listen to one book in one night. Anyway, I'm very excited to be finishing off this series finally. I will say I don't want it to make me cry, because I was listening to Felix Ever After and something happened in it that made me like gasp out loud. Thankfully I was on my own down the aisle while I was working, but like I actually gasped out loud without even thinking about it, and it was a little embarrassing afterwards. I was like, oh god, I hope no one heard that. So I don't really want to start crying at work. So if it gets to a point where I think I might end up starting being sad, I might finish it at home. But anyway, yeah. That is the book I'll be reading for the last in the series. And then for a book with a group of people, I could use Scandal for this. One of Us is Lying actually would have a group of people in it, but I also thought since I pulled this today, I could also read this. This is obviously about a group of heroes that are going on a journey. So there are multiples, and I might end up not reading these specific books for these specific prompts. I might end up doubling up, but those are the kind of rough idea books that I put on for the prompts. So now that I'm holding this stack, I'm actually slightly worried. Heroes of Olympus being as big as it is did add a chunk to this section. There are 10 books here that are on the TBR game for the month. So we have Skanda and the Chaos Trials, Wandering Sun, Midnight Sun, Around the World in 80 Days, Praise, One of Us is Lying, Love Theoretically, Buddha in the Attic, The Lost Hero, and Trans Love. Now, I am, as of next month, going to be adding in punishments back into my game. I really like punishments for myself because I'm a bit competitive, and so I find it motivating to want to read them. I am someone that will never push myself to read something just for the sake of like getting it done. If I'm like finding that I'm slumpy and stuff like that, I'll cut myself some slack, but I am going to add in some kind of punishment. I think, I haven't decided quite what it is. I think I'm going to go back, which I did originally when I created my game, which actually it's been about a year now since I started my game. I started it June 2023, so it's been just over a year, so that's exciting. But yeah, we're doing like a random read and unhaul book, and I will probably pick it from my standalone jar. These books I've had in here for ages, so I do want to get to them. So that's what I think I'm going to do as of next month. So I need to have read, let me just pick them back up. So I need to have read these 10 books, or have like read them and DNF them or whatever by by August, to have completed my game successfully. I should also give myself a reward then. I'll think about that. I'll get back to you next month with that. But yeah, these are the books. Like I said, I'm probably going to end up reading some things that are not like this, because I do actually have, which I might as well mention actually, audiobooks that I will be listening to. I'm in the middle of Winter's Orbit. I can't remember the author's name. I'll put a picture up of it here that I'm listening to. I started that as my like Spotify listen to, so I'll finish that probably tomorrow at work. I have Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman out from a audiobook, so I will be listening to that this month. And I'm not quite sure what else I've got coming to me audiobook-wise from my library. You can have 10 books reserved out, so I'm trying to keep them stacked. I'm just so excited now about that I can listen how much audiobooks that I'm going to be able to listen to each week based on my work schedule. I am still only in my second week and night shift, so I'm still kind of figuring out like how to adjust and then get back to normal and then go back off. They are 3 days in a row, thankfully, so it works nicely where I can just have like on Wednesday during the day if I sleep, and then Saturday if I sleep a little bit, I can figure out my schedule. But yeah, anyway, I've rambled on for so much. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, I haven't done videos in a while, so I'm kind of feeling new again to filming, myself talking. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I apologize, it has been so long since I've been around, but I'm back. I'm very excited about it, and I'll see you again hopefully soon.